Buckle up! Crane and the Cowboy with this Red Zone alert. It started with 17 Republican hopefuls, down to one now. Donald Trump, the presumptive nominee, and Patrick on the Democratic side, a little bit closer than we thought it might be.
Yeah, the geriatrics clinics is still around. We have 69-year-old Hillary and 74-year-old Bernie vying to represent the party supposedly of the young people. So we always thought it was going to be the Democrats who settled their business first, but it's now the shoes on the other foot, and we got Donald Trump as a nominee, and a lot of people are looking for buildings to jump out of.
Well, it's an interesting thing. There's one side that says the Republican Party is getting what it deserved for not getting it done in the last 8 years at least. Donald Trump has tapped into that anger, that resentment on the facts of many people. I mean, not just middle-aged white guys or young white guys, as the media would like us to believe, but it's really across the board. And Indiana, I think, was really interesting because that is a very conservative Republican state, and it went for Trump over Cruz.
Yeah, but I was also reading some stories that, Cruz is always helping the evangelicals and everything else, and they don't have as many as other states. Plus the fact, sometimes that takes a back seat. It's one thing to if all things being equal, and if you're an evangelical voter, you might say, okay, I'm gonna, I got a job, this is there. Well, I'm gonna, what's their position on these issues? But when you're lost your job or your economy's bad, you'll put aside some things because you want to win, and two, you want to see what this person is going to do to help you. So I think that all these guys, every campaign miscalculated the Trump phenomena. Nobody knew how to handle it. Remember in the beginning, Cruz tried to almost co-opt it. Donald, my friend. Mm-hmm. And what happened as soon as Trump got to him, boom.
It's like somebody wrote, he saved the best for last.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we came down to it. The other two guys dropped out. And now there's the hand-wringing and the bitterness on one side. And on the other side, there's great joy. But now for Donald Trump comes the hard part.
Well, you could say that the party is in shock in a sense. It's just been a couple of days as we come to you that the Indiana primary prompted Ted Cruz to pull out and made Donald Trump the presumptive nominee. The thing is, the convention is not until July. It's a few weeks for people to calm down, to entertain the reality that if we don't vote Trump, we could get Hillary Clinton, or we could get a Bernie Sanders, or we could even get a Joe Biden, which is either Barack Obama 3.0 or socialism.
Yeah. And we got a situation where people got to go through their grief. And for the Trump people, there shouldn't be a period of gloating. They should let people on the other who didn't support him, let them come around. Don't put the spurs to them. Don't say you got to do this now. Just let everybody calm down a little bit. And whoever he picks as vice president, that might help bring some people back. But there are certain people that are never, ever going to vote for Donald Trump. I heard an interesting thing today, too, that Ronald Reagan and Nancy Reagan didn't vote for Ford. They voted in the election of '76, but they didn't vote for Ford. I don't know how true it is, but there are some people, they'll vote for every other ballot, and then every other person on the ballot, and they won't vote for Trump.
Well, there are those who have criticized Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, the latest, of course, and the most publicized, by saying that the man is amoral, narcissistic, out of control, ego, pick your favorite adjective. But what Republicans have to ask themselves is, can you put that all aside, all that baggage aside, and look at a guy who might put America back to work, who might get people respecting America, feeling more self-respect. But Patrick, this is the first time I can remember that the issues are the candidates themselves, the main issues.
Yeah.
And everything else seems to take a backseat. Who has more baggage, Trump or Hillary? Who's a liar, Trump or Hillary? Mm-hmm. Who has the character flaws, Trump or Hillary?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is the continuing, as I've used before, ESPNization of politics. We're treating it who won or lost, who made a gaffe, what do the poll numbers say,
Right.
Who's got the most money.
Right.
Again, the guy in the street who went for Trump because they think he's talking about the issues they care about, we're back to the same stuff. We're back to the horse race aspect of this. By the way, when you said amoral and narcissist, well, then he's finally become a politician. Congratulations.
Yeah. And Hillary Clinton has made it very clear that if she wins, that Bill Clinton will be a part of it. So the co-presidency that so many people have feared, she's kind of let the cat out of the bag. That's what she's hoping for.
Yeah, I mean, the other day she says she's going to bring Bill out of retirement to help the coal miners. And this idea that we're going to create, high-tech centers in West Virginia. For what? I mean,
Dentistry?
Yeah, dentistry, whatever it is. This is this nonsense about, I'm going to pledge $30 billion. I always love politicians. I don't know where they come up with the number. She goes to the coal miner, she goes, well, I'm going to put you out of work, but I'm going to pledge $30 billion, and we're going to retrain you. And the guy goes, I don't want to be retrained.
And what fun does that come out of?
Yeah, I'm a coal miner. Right. It's like they want to build a new coal exporting facility in Seattle, Washington. Oh, God, we can't do that because that's coal. What do you mean? Those are people who go to work. How do you think your electricity is provided? How do they think things happen in this world? You have a coal plant in China that's feeding a factory that's making those cheap jackets that Walmart's selling.
Right.
So it's all a part of a circle, and this idea that you're somehow going to stop this stuff's stupid.
And you wonder, the candidates make so many promises. Donald Trump's like, well, look, I'm going to do this. The coal miners are going to be back at work, et cetera, et cetera. He has so many hurdles to go through, not just regulatory hurdles, but just getting things passed through Congress, a Congress that within his own party can be somewhat resentful, and certainly if the Democrats, if he does get in, will be gunning for him.
Yeah. And his first job right now is to unite people. And one of his comments, he said, yes, he goes, well, I want to unite people, but those people that don't like me, well, I don't like them anyways. He can't even unite people properly. Right. And I think his biggest problem is that he has this hard edge. And it's like he wants to kick you when you're down and keep kicking you. Oh. And, that's not the American way. The American way is you knock somebody down, it's a fair fight, and then you say, all right, let's be pals, okay? We've now bloodied each other up, but, okay, you won, congratulations. That's how we're supposed to play this game. He likes to keep kicking, and I don't think that's a very good quality.
Well, he does come off as a bully at times, certainly during the debates he did, whether it be Jeb Bush or it was Little Marco or...
Lion Ted.
Lion Ted. Kasich, I've never seen anybody eat like this guy does, et cetera, et cetera. Now...
Corpulent Christie.
Yeah, you've got... Now, Christie's on his side. He criticized Ben Carson. Ben Carson, in his book, said that he had some kind of issues. I can't think of the exact term. It was something to do with... a mental issue, basically. It was his
yeah, he said he's mentally unstable.
Yeah, his predisposition to violence when he was a young man.
Yeah.
So, but now all of a sudden he's going to be the guy kind of vetting the vice presidential candidates.
This thing is still on. They're still playing, fast and loose with this thing. But the things that are, he says, well, I don't know if I need a big organization in every state, and I don't know if I need this. Yeah, you do. I mean, he got where he got with very little money. Mm-hmm. Considering what the other guy spent, and he got there with his force of personality. But now it comes down to the blocking and tackling of campaigns, and you can't just do it by rallies. You can't just keep flying around the country doing these big rallies. At some point, you got to go visit the certain things, and you go to a city, and you go to Milwaukee. Remember I told you I worked in Milwaukee. You got to go to Usinger's sausage plant. You got to go to the Harley Davidson plant. Right. You got to go to the Pabst Blue Ribbon thing. There are certain parts of the game that you got to play.
Right.
And he's got to learn those things. Plus the fact he needs to also bring in some people who know what the hell they're talking about.
It is hard to imagine Donald Trump doing the traditional presidential things. It's hard to envision his inaugural address as anything but a I, me, I will do this, yeah. I, me. And, things like pardoning the turkeys and the Easter egg roll and just traditional things that I just don't think he's going to be comfortable in.
Right. And there's at least one speech coming up that's going to be the most important speech that he's ever given, and that's his acceptance speech.
Right.
That will set the tone. And if he becomes president, there's the next two. One is the inaugural speech, and then your first State of the Union. Those are the very important events, and they're set-piece events. And he can say he doesn't like them. He can say, I'm this and I'm that. But that speech to the convention is not just a speech to the convention. It's a speech to the television camera. It's a speech to the people who aren't, supporting you. And though, it's very important. And you got to practice, and you got to do some other things. He's going to have to show growth as a candidate, and he's going to have to show that he can bring people around him and know what they're doing, and that he can actually. You got to show a little bit of humility at some point.
Well, that's going to be interesting. Trump's got to go to Humility or Us or somewhere to buy it because he doesn't have it. The other thing is, between now and the conventions in July, a couple of interesting things could happen. On the Republican side, We're hearing anecdotally that the New York Times, the Washington Post, some other, maybe 60 Minutes, they've been looking into Donald, and they may have some pretty scathing things to report. How will that affect things? And then on the other side, Hillary Clinton obviously is facing a potential indictment if this FBI investigation with about 150 agents working it is as big as we think it is.
If I was the Clinton people, the reason Bernie staying in the race allows her to pivot towards Trump only a little bit, because as Bernie said, well, we got to allow the people of Oregon to vote. We got to allow the people of California to vote. So she can't turn her, she can't all of a sudden train her guns completely on Trump.
And it's not a lock yet. She's only about 300 delegates out.
It's not. So, and the other reason you mentioned, because of potential indictment. But right now, if she didn't have to face Bernie, if she was the presumptive nominee, what they would be doing, and I would be advising her to do if I was working for her, is say, dump stuff on him now. Because he doesn't have an infrastructure in place to respond. Mm-hmm. He's still hiring. Mm-hmm. And he's still putting people in place. So you pound him right now when he's, scurrying around to try and get organized. That's what I would do.
But she's got Bernie to fend off.
Right.
I mean, you take the super delegates away, it's a very close race. And she's got this, she just hired David Kendall, the famed Clinton attorney from scandals past. So that suggests to me that she is concerned. She's
very concerned. And also, David's got a lot of contacts in the Justice Department, so I'm sure he's trying to go through his contacts.
How bad is it?
Yeah, I don't know how helpful it's going to be. But because she can't train her guns completely on Trump right now, he has time. He has time to unite. He has time to hire people. And, brace yourself for the coming storm. Because the storm's coming, whether it comes now or it comes after the convention or whenever it comes.
And he has time to pummel her because he's done with Cruz.
Sure, he's done with everybody else, so he's just going to play whack-a-mole with her. But, again, there's a lot of stuff out there. Watch the Democrats. They're very disciplined at this. Once they get her, especially as a nominee, watch the discipline. They will pound on him. They will make sure that there's a story a day. You'll hear the hue and cry about his taxes, and they'll talk to Trump, they'll put out ads. You're a Trump supporter. Don't you want to see his taxes? All this other stuff. So those are potential problems out there.
There are subtle things that are going a little bit underreported. He will not let some of his workers in Las Vegas unionize, for example. He can't get a casino license in Las Vegas. He's got a beautiful hotel, but it doesn't have a casino. So what's that about?
That's going to come up, and also now he's not self-funding. And he appoints the head of a hedge fund to be his finance chair, and most political finance chairs at this level are some kind of Wall Street guy. But he also worked for the Soros Fund at one point. Now, a lot of people work for Soros Fund. That doesn't mean there's any direct connection. But his supporters go, wait a second, I thought you hated these guys. I thought those were the guys money changers we're going to drive from the temple.
Well, if you're working for George Soros, how big can your black book of conservative donors be?
Yeah, and this guy gave a lot of money to Hillary and some other causes. So, once again, he's starting to ratchet back on some of the stuff. Now you have people saying, well, he's got to get rid of the wall proposal. The wall proposal is the one thing that rocketed him to fame.
Right.
If you look at the beginning of the speeches, when he said, I'm going to build a wall and I'm going to self-fund, those are the biggest applause lines.
Well, Donald Trump is a game changer. I know that expression may be a little bit of a cliche and overused, but in this football metaphor in which we operate here, he is a game changer for sure, whether you like him or you don't. So we'll be following Donald Trump and how the Republican Party adjusts to him. Will the Cruz backers get over? Will Ted Cruz himself let the wounds heal? Will John Kasich bring his people over? We know Carson has, and we know that some of the other candidates have. We heard Mike Huckabee, who evangelical, he's behind Trump now. So we'll see how it all shakes out.
Yeah, and we're also going to be watching something that we'll never see again, in our lifetime at least. The complete emergence of reality TV, politics, social media, and the social media that's so much more mature than it was Barack Obama's 2012 campaign. And I think that's going to be an interesting thing to watch, how social media drives these things. And if Trump wins with fewer staff people, and fewer this, and fewer door knockers and all that, the whole game will completely be revolutionized.
And the final thought is, where does the nation go? If Trump wins, we go center right. If Hillary wins, do we go further left? And if Bernie Sanders wins, do we go way far left? So we'll be following all of that for you here on the LibertyPlaybook.com. I'm Crane.
And to quote John Belushi, start drinking heavily.
He's the cowboy. See you later.